This is the 17th season of Bass Talk Live with your hosts, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pingrack. BTL is brought to you by Lawrence, Bass Cat Boats, APCO, Duck and Fishing, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, X-Zone Lures, Yamagatsu, The Bass Tank, and Denali Rods. BTL coming at you. Okay, this is not good already because the intro didn't do what it was supposed to do.
We got to stay calm here.
Oh, I'm calm.
What was the intro supposed to do?
Well, there was no vocal or voice.
It said BTL coming at you.
I have no idea why that worked. Folks, I'm going to tell you. Everything is falling apart.
If you notice, we're missing some monitors where there's normally some monitors. It's been a little over a week since we've had BTL. I was on the road. You didn't have BTL last week. System completely fried, correct? Hard drive went completely down.
All kinds of stuff. I got a 10-year-old laptop right here.
We need to talk because I just went through a very trying experience in the last tournament where I pulled it through in the last minute, and we'll talk about it today.
Well, that doesn't happen here.
Right now, you've got 3 fish in the live well.
No, I don't even want that
and you've got 30
comparison.
minutes left. So
I don't want that comparison.
I'm just saying good things can happen.
I don't want
even
that
when
comparison,
it seems like it's going to fall apart.
Because this is duct tape and crazy glue right now.
As long as the duct tape's ducking and the crazy glue's still crazy, we're good to go, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
People can see us. Everyone said the intro was normal. What was not normal about the intro?
There were no vocals.
Yeah, there was. It said BTL coming at you.
It did not. Not in my headset.
It did in mine.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Dude, I can't explain that.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you.
No, I thought it was 100% normal. That's why I was freaking out because I was like, oh my gosh, it's all working.
Well,
yeah, video's a 5 out of 10 because we have a new we have a temporary camera.
Yeah.
It's almost like a vintage BTL. Jeffries is angry and we're slightly grainy. Fair assessment?
I'm not angry.
You're just depressed. Guys, we did a show yesterday. I came in, I flew in from Charlotte and came into the BTL studio. Everything was fine. Jeffries had tested everything. He'd taken the PC into the PC doctor, guy who works on computers.
No, the people that built it.
And he's like, all right, let's just, test this one last time. No audio in the headsets. We had Justin Hamner coming off a great Elite Series rookie season. Going to have him on talking about making the classic, making a bunch of checks this year. He's waiting. We still have no audio. An hour and a half later, we have no audio. Heck, you've been doing this for 19 years, and this is the most stressed out technologically wise that I've seen you. But we'll get through it. We'll keep doing it. We got a ton of stuff to talk about fishing. We have Elite Series qualifications. We have BPT Angler of the Year. We have the final stage with a lot of red crest and heavy hitter implications. We got a lot of stuff going on.
They say we look like green gizzard shads. I can.
Yeah, I kind of noticed the color's just a little off, but fortunately, you don't see color in podcasts.
Well, here's the deal. We're going to get Hamner on. We'll get him rescheduled. I'm doing everything I can to get another computer. I have not been to bed since Saturday night. All right. I was up Sunday night.
Right.
Once I discovered. And then last night I did not go to bed.
I was sticking around. I said, I was kind of stepping back. I said, is there anything I can do to assist you? Anything I can help with? Anything I could learn through this process?
There is multiple things, but nothing in that nature. Because
I'm not talking about like emotionally. I'm talking about
technologically. I wasn't either.
Technologically?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing you could do.
Yeah,
the dude came in who built the computer, said he's never seen a situation like that ever occur. The guy used to be a studio engineer for a radio station.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
he
is
knows
this
what
the
he's
dude?
doing.
The same dude who used to do the XM show?
Not Mike Holt.
Oh, okay.
No, different guy.
Okay.
So I felt I would do everything I could to get the duct tape and crazy glue out, piece something together today. I am going to go statewide this weekend because I cannot get a computer necessary to do what we do here for at least 2 to 3 weeks. And some people have said 4 weeks because of this chip shortage and everything else. All right. So that's kind of my mission this weekend is if I can't get one for 2 or 3 weeks, I mean, we can't go 2-3 weeks without a show. And this is garbage. And I don't like putting out garbage. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm upset, because this is not a representation of this product.
It's all good, though.
No, it's not.
The iTunes is going to be crystal clear. The audio sounds phenomenal. Yes? No?
I don't know. Because last night, part of the reason why I was up late is I would record it and then I would play it back.
It looked good?
The playback was horrible.
Yeah.
The audio was horrible.
The audio was horrible.
Yeah. The video was bad. The audio was bad. I don't know what's going on.
We got one option.
What's that?
Just roll with it and have a good show.
So that's the scoop on that. The main reason why I wanted to have a show today. All right. Today we were supposed to have, who were we supposed to have? Jeez. Oh, that was yesterday.
Jimmy Washam today.
Jimmy Washam. I talked to him.
Won the title championship several weeks ago on a very tough lacrosse, Wisconsin, Dinkin and Duncan.
Yeah. Yeah. So I talked to him late last night and he was very, very understanding and knew exactly kind of what I was going through and said, yeah, we'll get him rebooked. We'll get him scheduled. See, here's the deal, folks. So many people out there. I am, and Matt can vouch for this. I am a perfectionist. I do not like to throw garbage out there. And part of my reasoning for trying to get this dialed in as best that I could is because this product has been based on quality and it's been based upon the type of product that Matt and I have put out for years and years and years. This is not a representation of what we do. This is not a representation of what I do. And that is very, very difficult. Here, I'm going to give you a list. All right.
Dude, it's all good.
This is what I went through and still going through this week. And look,
it's all good.
Listen, man, listen. There are numerous things out there that are massively challenging for people. And this may be absolutely just a dot on the wall compared to the challenges and everything that so many people are going through, especially in this day and age. All right. I get it. All right. This is very, very tiny compared to everything else that people are struggling with all the COVID stuff and everything that else is going on in the world. But what you don't understand is, and I think the majority of people do understand that the challenges in everyday life, you can either shrivel up in the fetal position and just think it's going to go away, or you can do everything you can to make it right. All right. So I get it. So this is what has broke over the past week and a half. Both computers in the studio, the refrigerator, the wife's car.
How did that break?
I have no idea.
What, the refrigerator in the house?
Yeah.
Did you have like a massive power surge that was there some sort of weird magnetic
I have no idea.
Anomaly?
And I mentioned on the show, the reason that we were having the power surges is because of the construction that was taking place.
So
about a mile and a
lawnmower
half
still
here.
Functioning? Because the
lawnmower still
yard
works.
looks amazing.
Lawnmower still works.
Heating and air? I know you were messing with the air conditioner.
No. Let's see what else. The transmission in my son's car was messed up. A
solar flare. I agree.
The cable TV is something's. I have no idea what's going on. It's not working. All right, and guess what? The cable people can't get out here for another 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, I'd rather it all happen at once. That's how it kind of goes with me on the water. It all happens at once, and then you get a string of good stuff.
Yeah.
Can we talk?
So
I've never seen you like this. You're on the edge right now.
There
Mark.
has been. I'm not on the edge.
I'm not sure how to.
Dude, if I was off the edge or on the edge or whatever,
you kind of have that weird, eerie, calm thing where you're.
Yeah.
I've known you. Do I know you better than anyone else in your life outside of your family? Be honest. In your adult post UPS life.
Probably not.
Who else?
Probably not.
Who else?
But there's a lot of stuff.
Dude,
there's a lot of other stuff going on too.
Okay.
There really is. And like I said, I know people out there have.
That's another good suggestion. You need to just go fishing.
Do what?
You need to just go fishing.
No, I hate September. I've already talked about that. You can't catch fish in September.
We need to have positivity talk with you.
Yeah.
Even on Lake X.
No.
You could probably go to Lake X and catch some on a topwater. That would make you smile.
No. You
told me last week that you'd never been in a better place.
I was in a great place, man.
Well, let's go back to the best place for the remaining hour of the show then.
It was a disaster. And you know what? If you think I'm whining and complaining, I'm not, because I am so fortunate. So fortunate to be able to do what I do and have what I have. But it is really challenging.
I want to say one thing, and then we got to put this in the rearview mirror and move on to fishing. I'm going to say it.
Well,
hang on. There's nothing else.
You can say it. I'm not done yet. All right. The main reason why I wanted to have this show today was, one, to let you guys know that, yeah, we're still alive. But two, to give Matt the platform to talk about what he did this past week.
Well, I didn't come here to talk about that. We got a bunch of other stuff. Can I just say one thing to drop it then? Dude, I think that in March, if we could have computer issues, grainy audio, and BTL while you were in the ICU in the hospital, not knowing if you were ever going to pull out of it and be able to walk again, I think 100% of the people, you included, would take those challenges gladly and have the situation we're in now with a healthy Mark. Perspective-wise,
dude,
let's have a damn show.
I get that.
And I'll put $1 in the swear jar. I'm sorry. It's been a while.
So we're off. Let's go.
All right. First of all, you know who is not? Boy, we got to get some energy in you, Mark. I'm serious. Take the hand away for the face. Sit up a little bit. Can we play some background music or something? You got to get some energy. No. I've never seen you like this in 13 years. This is concerning for me.
I'm sleep deprived.
This is concerning, Mark.
I went to 5 stores yesterday looking for a computer.
We can't talk about that anymore. Is there caffeine in that green tea?
I think so.
Because I have this stuff has carlupertine quarantine in it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Hey, I will be better. I promise you I will be better. This is very, very challenging.
So who is not challenged this week is Michael Neal. And they go to stage 7 of the final BPT. Have you seen what he's done on St. Clair, which has been really rough, tons of wind, a lot of decisions for the guys between the river. They can only fish the Michigan side of Lake Erie. They can't go fish Huron. A lot of decisions to make on that with the wind, right?
Mm-hmm.
He went 120 pounds on day 1, 102 pounds on day 2 for a 2-day total weight of 223 pounds even. And he didn't even catch 70 fish to do that. And he never caught a 5-pounder. That is 4-pounder.
I saw that.
After 4-pounder after 4-pounder. Brent Naylor dropped out of the Angler of the Year race for a chance. It is now down to Ott Defoe, who somehow, obviously he's won, but somehow after the year that Jacob Wheeler has had, winning over $300,000 in a couple of the BPT events, is still behind Ott Defoe, and they are now fishing. And if Wheeler finishes 13 points ahead of Defoe, he wins Angler of the Year. If Defoe makes the final round, mathematically, Wheeler can't win it. If they both make it, Defoe wins it. So the only chance here is a 13-point gap for Wheeler. So we've got a lot of interesting drama, and it's tough on a lot of the guys too.
Mm-hmm.
So a very interesting event that's going on with the BPT in their
Strader
final
catching
stop.
them too.
Yeah, Wesley Strader also leading Group B going into the knockout round. I screwed up big time yesterday. I was highly embarrassed.
What
I texted Justin Lucas. I was going to ask him I texted Justin Lucas and I said, hey dude, since you didn't make the final round. I said, since you didn't make the next round, give me a call. I want to run some stuff by you. And he's like, bro, tomorrow's the knockout round.
That's not
so
good.
he hadn't been so I had to be like, oh yeah, my bad. Sorry about that. But yeah, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of guys wrapping up their year. And so here's the other thing. And I was talking with another angler who didn't make the cut, but did catch a 5-pounder. A lot of these guys were trying to qualify for heavy hitters, which was over 100,000. They got the $50,000 stuff that goes on next year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even if they're stinking in this one and aren't making red crest, they still are fishing for that heavy hitters. So I think that's a cool feature of the BPT is that heavy hitters catch your one big one and still save your butt. Any comments, any thoughts on that, Mark?
It's a smallmouth thing. It's cool that Schrader's catching largemouth.
Yeah, there's definitely some largemouth mixed in.
Yeah.
Second of all, I have a fun stat for the day.
What do you have?
You got to add to this or else I'm going to run out of material, Mark.
Oh, there's plenty. Believe me.
That's fishing related?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, but the Bassmaster Northern Angler of the Year race in the Northern Opens, all three of them. Did you see you finish in the top 3?
That would be one Mike Iaconelli.
That would be Mike Iaconelli, along with Jonathan Kelly and Alex Redwine, wrap out the top 3 who received the invitations to fish the 2022 Bassmaster Elite Series.
Keyword there, invitations.
Now it's up in the air on whether Ike is going to fish it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? Is that fair assessment?
Correct.
He said that on the show? Up in the air.
Correct.
He wants the opportunity. I know that he wanted to qualify through the points, not have the option of the Legends exemption.
Mm-hmm.
That was important to him. Now, I will say I was waiting for the weigh-in to be over to get my check because, as we all know, I need checks. And he was there and had just weighed in. Dude, he seemed legitimately excited, amped up. Now, you think he's leaning more toward like 50-50 on this?
I do.
I think he might fish.
We're going to see.
Why would he be that amped up if it wasn't in his mind, dude, I might fish this?
2 reasons. One, that's just how he is. It doesn't matter what he does. That's how he is. And the second reason is I'm reading the comments. Jeez. The second reason is I think he's at the stage of his life that this television show is very, very, very important to him. And I think if he gets an extension on the show and his kids are at a stage of their life where he wants to spend a little bit more time at home, we'll see. I mean, either way, it's going to be good for the fans.
You don't think the competition aspect
I think he's still going to fish.
Just the Opens?
I don't even know.
Something.
I don't even know what he's going to be
on the 2020.
I think his heart and soul right now in his life is in his television show and his family.
Now, what year? So they all tied with points, which was absolutely insane. Jonathan Kelly, Mike Iaconelli, and Alex Redwine. They all had 549 points out of a possible 600 points. Very impressive. Jonathan Kelly is 26 years old.
Okay.
Alex Redwine just turned 22. Combined, the other 2 qualifiers are not as old as Mike Iaconelli.
This is true. He's been doing it forever.
And man. Ike has fished professionally, I believe, longer than Alex has been alive.
Yeah.
We got to get Alex on the show. The kid, like I said, he just turned 22. Funny story on this. And I don't think he'd mind. I've been talking to him a little bit if I say it. So he sends me a text at the beginning of the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said, hey, dude, I'm going to be fishing the Opens. I really like what you and Bradley do. I think I could learn a lot. I don't know what your roommate situation is, but this is my first time kind of going out and fishing these Opens, and I have a lot to learn, and I would really like to room with you guys and see how you do it. And I said, dude, you're more than welcome to ask questions, do all that. I said, I would highly suggest that you more focus on Bradley than me, since I'm still working my way through it. I said, but we've got our housing situation throughout the year with me and Brad at Upshot, a couple other guys jumping in. But like I said, you're more than willing to ask. This guy goes out and kicks our butts and qualifies for it in his first 3 tournaments. There's just 6 days. He's on it. I was talking to him. He's like because he was waiting on his check too. And I was like, dude, congratulations. That's awesome. And he's like, Man, he's like, I'm in shock. He's like, I did not expect this to happen. And he finished like 30th at the James and then 12th or 14th at both of the last 2 Northern Opens. But dude is 22 years old, doesn't really have any sponsors, really doesn't know anybody in the industry. Because I was talking to him, I'm like, do you have anyone who can kind of walk you through some of this stuff? And now he's in the deep end after 3 Opens. But he said he was committed to fishing the Elite Series. So I'm kind of really excited to see how it goes for him. There's a bunch of guys who got in when they were younger. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this because this is an interesting. I had a long conversation with another professional angler about this on the way home. When you had Bertrand and Jordan Lee, both of the Lee brothers, Justin Lucas, throw Bradley Roy. I'm talking about these guys who are in their early 20s who got into the Bassmaster Elite Series, FLW Tour, stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. What has really changed over the past decade in regards to young anglers being able to establish themselves immediately and compete?
Winning?
No, here's what it is. Winning, yeah, a lot of those young guys won back then, but here's the deal. The off limits for these Elite Series tournaments now, it's as soon as the schedule's released, right?
Correct.
Back when Polinick and a bunch of these guys, and it was up until 5-6 years ago, you could get information up until, was there a 30-day cutoff or a 2-month cutoff? That learning curve for, there's like a 2-week cutoff in FLW for a long time. That learning curve for a young angler coming in, like if you had never been to a Chickamauga, if you had never been to a Gunnersville, if you had never been to any of these historic fisheries where there's so much information, you could do your homework completely legally, above board, by work, talk to guys and have you can do what I do in the Opens, right? Talk to a bunch of people who know what's there, get in some areas, talk to some guys who know what's up, and have a really good idea, even though you've never been to that fishery. Now, these young rookies that are coming in, throw Hamner, who we were supposed to have on yesterday, throw any of these guys who are working their way through their first season, man, they're on their own. Because with the change in the off limits rules, they can't get any information, even though that tournament's 11 months out. Now you're competing against guys who not only have years logged on those fisheries and all the waypoints and all the areas and all the historical data, but when they were trying to become established and stuff, they could do a lot more homework and be, in my opinion, in the quote unquote right areas quicker than having to go through that whole thing yourself. Do you think that's a fair point?
No, that is a great discussion topic. And I actually had that conversation with Justin a little bit. I personally think there should be off limits for the Opens. How is that fair to those guys that can go out and camp on a lake for a month and do well, moderately well in 3 tournaments, and now all of a sudden they're in the Elite Series?
Here's my thoughts on that. One, the Opens is not a qualifying tournament. All you have to have is $1,800 and know when to call in and sign up and put your deposits in, and you're in, right? So it's not you don't have to qualify for the Opens. It's literally called the Opens. Okay. And second, if you look at the roster and list of guys on that Open, say you have a Pickwick, say you have Thousand Islands. I know guys who make their living in the summer guiding on Lake Ontario. Now you're limiting there are a lot of anglers. It was not a full field in Ontario. I know of at least 7 or 8 guys who are in that, who guide on the St. Lawrence River in Lake Ontario. Now you're taking money out of their pockets to where they're going to miss out on potentially 10, 15 guide trips if you make it a 30-day off limit. So now you're $8,000 out just for a chance to go fish that Bassmaster Open.
Okay, I'll throw this out there. Do you want to be a touring professional or do you want to be a guide? You have a choice.
I think there's a lot of guys who do both. There 100% is a lot of guys who do both.
You need to be a guide or you need to be a person that truly wants to play this game at the highest level. See, it's not fair. It's not fair to the rookies. It's not a testing ground for the environment that they are going to get involved with if and when they do get one of those Elite Series spots.
And I agree, which is why there needs to be some sort of middle ground. But as long as the opens are filling up, the entry fees are getting paid, the sponsors are liking it, and they have places to go to, what is the point of having that? How does Bass make money by adding a...
Well, now you see, that's a different subject. You're switching it now to how does Bass make money?
Well, that's the whole goal. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying...
But no, initially, the thought process, look, if for somebody to go out and camp on a body of water for a month and talk to 12,000 people is not an indication of how well they're going to perform at the Elite Series level. It's not, because you can't do that.
Right.
So why would you expose to those people that truly want to become professional anglers at the top level of their game? Why would you put them through something that they're never going to see if and when they do get to the top level?
That's why there needs to be something that is more closely related to the Elite Series to qualify for it, some sort of middle ground tournament. I'll tell you why I went. I spent 11 days practicing on the St. Lawrence River. I talked to a bunch of different people, all different. I mean, I was all over the map. I did a lot of stuff on my own. I spent a whole week just going out and exploring. Here's why. I know that the St. Lawrence River is going to be on the Bassmaster Elite Series and the Bassmaster Open schedule for years to come. Look at the deals that MLF has signed with Messina, and we have the Waddington. They're going back to Clayton next year for the Elite Series. That is a fishery that the community relies on tourism dollars from tournament anglers and vacation people and promoting that fishery to sustain their livelihoods. Would you agree? I mean, it's not like a one-off. It's not like a lake they're never going to go back to. I needed to learn that. It was 100% within the rules. I had the time from being up north, so it made sense for me. I didn't look at it as, I'm going to learn just for this tournament. I looked at it as an investment in my future, because if I accomplish what I'm trying to, I will be back on that body of water multiple times throughout my career.
But, all right, and people, what you don't understand is I don't have any skin in the game. All right. But what I do see is I see young anglers that qualify through 3 tournaments that get out there and absolutely get buried.
Right.
They get buried from a fishing standpoint. They get buried from a financial standpoint.
They're tossed into the deep end.
And part of the situation is because of the way that they get there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. There's nothing wrong with doing it, because that's allowed. But what I'm saying is for those people that truly want to be on the Elite Series or whatever tour you want to be on, the elements should be the same. The testing ground should be the same.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not being a baby.
No,
I'm just being factual. All right.
I mean, KJ Queen is a great example. The guy went out, fished them all, qualified, and then he made the Classic this year. We had him on the show. I mean, he went out and caught him in 8 tournaments and went out and made the clay. He made it look easy.
Now, I think what they're doing this year by giving 3 spots to guys that fish all 9, well, that's a little bit better indicator of who really not deserves, but who really has put in the sweat equity to get there.
We've seen a lot of guys that get there and it's an uphill climb from the first cast.
This is not the first time
success.
that we've had this discussion. I just think it doesn't matter if it's the ABC tour. It doesn't matter. All right. Whatever you are going to deal with from an environment at the top level should be the same thing that you're dealing with to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Because it hurts too many guys. It does. And that was part of the reason why many years ago, back in the 90s and the 2000s, that people were really, really upset about the information highway. It wasn't really about blue dots then. We didn't have all the blue dots that we have now, but it was the information that was coming down that was giving people an advantage, and even the creativeness in how they were getting this information. I really truly believe that if you're going to have a situation where somebody is trying to earn their way to the top level, the qualification should be the exact same way. It should be the process.
You're going to dump a lot of people fishing that tournament.
Then you know what, man?
That's
you need
where you
to
need
have
the middle ground to where you have a more select number of anglers that have worked their way through that open that have said, I'm dedicated to this. And then it is more closely structured to an Elite Series format.
Then maybe
you pick them, and then that's where the Elite Series guys go down to, so they're not thrown back into the open pool when they try to requalify.
I mean, don't you get frustrated when you have a 200 boat field and they only pay 40 spots?
I don't get frustrated because I know that's what I signed up for.
I get that.
But yeah, it sucks when you beat 65, 70% of the field consistently, and you get an attaboy and 150 points.
Okay, so you're telling me, right, it's not about the money then, it's about the points.
As long as I can,
Agreed?
yeah, it's about a combination. But yes, I'm losing battles, but winning the war.
Okay, so would it not be a better situation if you had a qualification process that it wasn't really about the money, it was about the points, where you truly, yeah, you made a little money, all right, but you had a platform that was very, very similar to the platform that you're trying to get to where it can be determined both from a performance standpoint and from a financial standpoint that, you know what, man, I can't do it. Or you go out and you have an enormous amount of success. You're learning under the same conditions, the same rules, the same guidelines, to where is that not going to get you more prepared?
Oh yeah, anything you can do that's practice to game.
So let me ask you this, Matt. What percentage, and I'm just going to use the number 200, what percentage of people in the Opens truly have no desire to ever fish the Elite Series?
I honestly have no concept of that. I don't know. I mean, I talk to guys who are like, man, I do this. I'm either retired or I have my business or I'm in it because I've got a kid or a brother or a family member or a friend, and we room together and I'm doing it for fun. I mean, we've seen it in the past. More recently, the spots have been taken by the guys who qualify. But I mean, it wasn't that long ago when you would have, they would invite the top 4 or 5 and they would end up down 8, 9, 10 for guys to get the open qualifications through that. I just think as in the recent years and with everything that's happened and then the restructuring, that there's more of a desire of those guys to take those spots. But I mean,
somebody said 90%.
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of guys who just fish one of them, a ton of guys who just fish one of them.
I'm interested in the comment that Mark made on the comment. It says, Mark, that's how over half the fishermen make their living. Geez. Over half the fishermen make their living fishing the Opens?
No. I don't know what he was. I think it was some other thing.
Look, the topic that you brought up, great topic.
Mm-hmm. That's all I was saying, was that for these young guys that are in their early 20s who haven't been through the ringer, so to speak, I think in this day and age, even with all the technology, even with all of now the trade-off is, here's the trade-off. And there is no trade-off to actually experiencing it and being out and doing it, but they have live that they can watch. So the Poliniks, Brandon Carr, all those guys who made it super young right out of college or didn't go to college and made it, when they came in, they hadn't visually seen it unless it was on a Bassmaster TV show, right? Because that was way before live. Now you've got these young kids who, while they can't get information or talk or learn about fisheries that they are now qualified for, they can watch hours and hours and hours of live, which is something that I have not really utilized in my Opens, is going back and watching the archived lives, which I probably am missing the boat on that. But so that there is a little bit of a trade-off there to where they can at least have, like if Polinik wanted to do it back then, he would have had to watch the 5 minutes of footage that there was on Bassmaster. Now you can go back if you have 4 days with 6 hours of coverage, you can watch 24 hours.
It's changed things.
With 18 hours of that being the leaders. It's just as far as homework. I'm not getting into a philosophical discussion here about that. I'm just talking about as far as doing your homework, familiarizing yourself with.
Okay, here's the other thing. and hopefully you do make it, but when you do make it, if you do make it, how difficult it is going to be, not only for you, but everybody else that does make it, to get that money needed, be it sponsorship, be it fundraising, be it whatever, to be able to make that first deposit and then continue to make the deposits.
I mean,
in other words, is the timing good based upon, you're not going to know until that last event, and the last event is what, October?
Yeah. No, that puts you in a little bit of a pickle there, because what are you going to approach sponsors and talk to them about the potential when they're like, dude, you're 70 points out of the qualifying. Yeah. You're 50 points out of qualifying, and then their budgets are being set now. That is a little bit of a pickle. But I'm not going to complain about fall tournaments. That's my jam. I like fall tournaments. So, but yeah, there's definitely a small window. So I think you have to have some loose plans that there's potential for. And
I like what you said about that. And I like what the fans are saying, because I think the vast majority of the people that do fish the Opens are not there to qualify for the Elite Series. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's an additional cost to the company, but I truly think that they need a specific set of tournaments that is specifically for people that, you know what, if you want to fish the Elite Series, this is what you're going to fish. And if you have no desire to make the Elite Series, hey, we're still going to have the Opens. Mm-hmm. Now the problem's solved, because you put in the same rules. And maybe it's not a problem. I think it's a situation that is developed into some advantages and disadvantages for people that are trying to do that, like yourself.
Yeah, and I agree. He says, I disagree with Bassmaster. Those double qualifiers going down the list and letting someone else that didn't qualify earn your own. And then also, so the issue, and I've actually had conversations with people at Bass about this, is if you double qualify through one of the divisions, it should go down the overall for the guys that have $35,000 in the skin or traveling to all 9 tournaments and have proven they can catch them in all 9 tournaments. So if you have a guy who finishes first in the Southerns and first in the overalls, then his double qualification counts. And then second, third, and fourth in the overall should go, and not 4th place in the, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah. But then you run into the issue is, if you're fishing all of them and you're first, second, or third in the overall, there's a good chance that you qualify in both divisions, or 3 divisions, or all of the divisions. So then how do you decide which division? Is it the one that they finish first? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So if I'm fourth in the Southerns, and a guy finishes first overall in the Southerns, the Northerns, and the overall, but they take his Southern qualification, so only the top 3, then I'm sitting 4th in the Southerns going, well, why didn't you take his Northern qualification? And then I would have gotten an invite. So it's like an easy way around that, doing that. Is that right? No, I think it should be kind of like it was back in the FLW when you fish multiple divisions. It's whichever one you qualify first in.
Yeah. I mean, we could talk for
we could
hours about that.
It's a weird system, but it is what it is. Also, with Corey Johnson winning the event,
Scott Martin.
Yeah, it's really no doubt that one of the Johnson brothers was going to be in the hunt. They both were. Scott Martin makes the Bassmaster Classic. Was there ever any doubt?
Well, there was, but I don't know what percentage of doubt there was.
Because I was at a
there was doubt.
I was at a media event in Wisconsin just before this Thousand Islands tournament. We were joking with Jason Christie, because that last Southern Open, I don't think he's fished them all, is at Grand, right? Mm-hmm. We were like, hey man, has Scott called you? He got you to try to sign up for that one yet? Because if Christie had won it, he's like, no. Like, I bet Scott would take you out on the vice versa for some offshore fishing if you signed up for that. Well, I totally forgot, but both of the Johnson brothers jackpotted this one. So Corey Johnston caught. It was insane watching him on the final day, and really cool to see it on FS1. It was the first time that I had been in a tournament that there was live coverage of like that.
Yeah.
So you fish, you catch them, and then you wake up the next morning and you get to watch the top 10 and realize all the spots you passed, all the things you didn't do right, all the things you did do right, how everyone's catching them. It's really a weird deal after you fish a tournament to then watch that tournament live the following morning.
David, let me address that real quick. I actually had 3 backups.
Oh, we're back on the computers.
Well, he's calling me out there. I had backups, but the backups aren't working. I mean, I'm going back to a 10-year backup here, dude. So
everything got fried when I came back. Like pretty much everything in the studio was out.
Yeah. Let me ask you this.
Like even the editing computers out.
What is your opinion about somebody getting in based upon somebody else's performance?
Oh, I'm totally fine with that.
You're okay with that?
100% okay with that. It wasn't based on someone else's performance. Those are the rules that signed up for at the beginning of the year. Yeah. The top 42, 43 on the Elite Series make the Bassmaster Classic, and it's super hard to get in through the Opens because you have to win one out of 190. But guess what's also really hard? To make the frickin' Elite Series. And one of the things that you're rewarded with when you make the Elite Series is a legitimate shot if you perform well enough to make the Bassmaster Classic. This is their livelihoods. This is where everything is built on. So I have absolutely no issue. It is a non-issue for them to go down that Elite Series list because of what the guys on the Elite Series have committed and the schedule that they've gone through. Mm-hmm. There's already 11 guys in the Bassmaster Classic who are not touring pros. Think about that. You have 3 from each of the Opens. That's 9, the college angler and the weekend series angler. That's 11 guys.
Okay.
To give as many spots as you can to the Elite Series anglers and to say, oh, well, Scott backdoored it because Corey Johnston won the Open. No, Scott didn't. Scott qualified in 43rd place. There are 60 other guys on the Bassmaster Elite Series that he beat to be in that position, to be next in line, that the rules clearly stated if someone who did not fish all 3 Opens qualified, it went down the Bassmaster Elite Series list.
All right, time out. That's not the question I asked you, though. He is truly in the Bassmaster Classic, not a result of his performance.
No, he is. He's 100% in the Classic because of a result of his performance. He finished high enough so that when Corey Johnston won, he was in the Bassmaster Classic. He did what he needed to do to make the Bassmaster Classic. That was clearly stated in the rules. Everyone knew it.
I'm not saying that it's not. That's not what I'm
addressing. Okay, then what are you saying?
I'm asking you whether or not somebody should get a spot in whatever because somebody else did something and you didn't. That's what I'm asking.
I'm saying it wasn't anything that he didn't do. He did finish high enough, so when that rule went into place, he's a legitimate qualifier. Yeah. I'd take 0 away from anybody who did that, who qualified for that.
So there shouldn't be a hard line then.
There is a hard line. There's this number through the Bassmaster Elite Series.
Uh-huh.
And then that hard line is plus any Elite Series angler who is next in line for Opens anglers who did not fish all 3 divisions. That's about as hard as it gets.
No, I understand what the rules are.
Yeah.
I get the rules. What I'm saying is should there be a hard line to where you're the ones that these are the guys that are forking out $70,000, $80,000. Okay. And up front, I'm not talking about at the end of the season. I'm talking about up front. If you had a hard line, no matter what happens on the Opens, you have a hard line of, let's say, 35. Then you know that if you don't finish, above 35th or higher, you're not in. No matter what happens.
I would have an issue with that.
Why is that?
Because if I'm dedicating my life and $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 and traveling all around the country to do that, and then they're leaving a classic spot vacant because someone didn't fish the other 2 Opens or only fished 2 out of the 3 and happened to win one, that could be life-changing for a guy. Why would you leave that classic spot vacant?
Why do you have to have that set number? In other words, if you have that hard line and say, you know what, if you don't finish 35th or above, you're not in.
And they
haven't made a cast yet. And it's not dependent upon what somebody does in the Opens or what somebody else does. That's all I'm asking. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm asking you.
There is a hard line.
There is not a hard line. In other words, before you make a cast at the beginning of the season, if you were to say, look, forget about everything that's taken place in the Opens or anything else. We're taking 35 spots. 35. That's it. Okay, I know what I got to do.
Yeah, you could do that. That's an option. I got absolutely no issue with the way they do it now. The more Elite Series guys that they get into the Bassmaster Classic, in my opinion, the better.
I'm not disagreeing with that statement. That's not what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. But
plus, it adds drama and intrigue. Scott Martin has tens of thousands of fans out there, hundreds of thousands of fans out there who watch all of his stuff. There were a lot of people that were watching that tournament to see if Scott could get in. There'll be a bunch of people then, whoever's next on the list, to see if that guy gets in.
Do you not think that there would be drama there on that final day, knowing that you have to finish in 35th place or higher?
I think there's the same amount of drama knowing that you have to finish as high as you can.
Once again, all right, he finished 43rd. He didn't finish where the line was supposed to be. If you knew
this is where the line was supposed to be based on the rules. You knew that there was this number, you're in 100%. If you're the next couple, it's based on how they do.
We don't know. We don't know. We don't know if you're in or not. And in fact, you know what? We're going to even tell you that, yeah, you'll be in, but somebody's got to win one of these other tournaments.
It's a lack of.
Why?
As hard as it is to make a living in this industry and be a professional angler and survive, which which we've seen, which we just talked about for the first half of the show, it's kind of baffling to me how unaccommodating you are at giving these professional anglers any opportunity that is possible to succeed. You want 1 year, and if you're the bottom 75, you're out. And even if there's vacant classic spots, don't give them to Elite Series anglers who performed well enough to be in those positions.
It's not what I'm saying. That's so far from it. All right. What I am saying is, if you know up front, before you ever make a cast, I got to finish 35th or higher to be in the Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line. So you're telling me that that's taking away from people's opportunity that are spending that money? What opportunity am I taking away?
There's empty Classic spots.
No. That's not what I'm saying.
You're taking away the opportunity for guys who earned it by filling those Classic spots at the bottom.
If you know up front if the line's 35.
Aren't there varying numbers of golfers in the Masters and all that? And aren't there guys in golf who all the time get into fields, finish high enough, qualify for stuff because someone else misses a putt, and if they or miss an event or decide to skip events, and now all of a sudden they jump up into that qualifying stuff, and that cut line and that cut number is constantly moving? So, I mean, do you hear guys who get into the field at golf who say, when John Daly, did you watch his 30 for 30? And his documentaries and stuff, when he got into crooked stick, when he won, had never seen the golf course, and the only reason he got in was a dude was injured and another dude his wife had a baby, and he said, "Here, take my caddy and go golf."
But was the number the same? You still had the same number.
You didn't hear anybody saying, "Oh, well, the only reason he got into that field was because he backdoored his way in because he didn't golf well enough." And there was a set number of people who were in that tournament, and they go down the list to fill the field. They go down the list to fill the field in that. And he went out and he won in 93. And look at what he did with his career. If they had said, well, he didn't qualify for that tournament, even though they're down on the list, that's a guy you would never have heard of. I mean, that's a perfect example of why would you not give an opportunity to these guys who are busting their butts? And it's in the rules. It's not like they're arbitrarily picking people.
That's not even the same comparison. And all these people, you're getting bent out of shape and you're getting mad at me because
I'm not getting mad at you. No. I'm just having a conversation.
Dude, I'm telling you.
We're both just having a conversation.
If you know up front, I got to finish in the top 80. I got to finish in the top 35.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there is no ifs, ands, or buts. If this happens or that happens or whatever, you're in.
Well, I know. In the Northern Opens, this is an example. So TJ Tompkins, he's in 4th. Does Iaconelli fish? Does Iaconelli not? If he fishes, does he not get an invite? If he does, he will. In the overall, I know I have to finish in the top 3. That's all it is. The rest of them, it could go down 4, 5, 6, depending on double qualifiers, depending on guys who decline it. So you're saying if Iaconelli doesn't fish, then just Jonathan Kelly and Alex Redwine.
That's not what I'm saying.
I'm just saying in theory, that's a perfect example of
no,
like
it's not, because
line.
that is a qualifier. It's different.
Okay.
If you're at the top level and you're trying to fish in the Bassmaster Classic and you know the line, the cut line is 40 or the cut line is 30. And honestly, dude, does it really matter if there's 5 more guys in the Classic?
Yeah. I mean, it's not as special when the Forest Wood Cup ballooned out to 65 guys. It's not as special when there were 57, 58, 60 guys. So
why not have a hard line?
Classic.
Why not have a hard line?
I always think 50 is the number for the Bassmaster Classic.
Why not have a hard line?
I think 50 is the number for the Classic.
Okay.
How's it work in bowling?
Well, you have
is there a hard line?
There's a hard line. There, I mean,
there's no one that goes 24. Down.
No,
to qualify to get on tour and all that.
No.
So if okay, I see what you're saying.
No, you know up front. Look, I'm not saying anybody's done anything wrong, and I'm not taking away from what Scott Martin did. What I'm saying is, if you start out the year before you make a cast, and you have a hard line, and everybody knows what you got to do, boom,
I 100% agree. And I'll put a bow on it. All I'm saying is they start out the year, there's a hard line, boom, they're in. But they also know that there's a possibility that if they perform well enough, there is a chance that that could go down 1, 2, 3 spots. So it's still a hard line, but also offering additional opportunities for those anglers who earned the right to be in the position to take those unused spots in the Classic. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Scott, that's a good point. Yeah, there are situations in professional sports where to get into the playoffs or whatever you're trying to get into, yeah, you need some help. I mean, that's always a little bit of drama. The final week of the Major League Baseball season, depending on who's trying to get into the wild card and who's trying to get the bye by winning the divisions or whatever the case is. Yeah, you need help, but everybody knows what that category is.
We got drama going on the BPT.
What's that?
You want to guess what place Wheeler's in? Who I believe is 13 points behind Ott Defo, as we talked about at the beginning of the show.
Second.
How'd you know that?
I just guessed.
He's in second.
So what does he have to do? Finish in
I
what?
believe 13 spots ahead of Ott.
Yeah.
Or make the cut, not stink it up.
Mm-hmm.
Ott's not caught one yet.
You guys are man, I love you guys, but you guys are cracking me up because I don't think you truly understand what I'm saying. And Matt is going to put a bow on it and we're moving on. All I'm saying is that if you know what that line is and you're not dependent upon somebody else to get you in that line, your performance is based upon what you do, not what somebody else does. And I'm just using the number 35. So moving on.
Fair point. Do we have the ability to take commercial breaks and then come back and talk about this month-long road trip that I came on where I lost my razor?
No, keep going. We don't, because I don't know if it's going to work or not.
Are you okay?
No, I'm not. I really am. I'm, people are going to say all kinds of things, and that is what it is.
The beauty of the show. You got to have an angry Mark show every couple of months.
I'm not angry. I am frustrated.
Yeah, you're
I am frustrated beyond being frustrated.
But dude,
I haven't been to bed since Saturday night.
You have to go to school today?
Yes.
I would hate to be in one of your classes. You got any assignments due today for the kids?
I've got the coaches show tonight. I got to get ready for.
How's the coach doing?
Well, they won on Friday, so they're in a good mood.
What was the score?
35-7.
You can open up with, Coach, I got to tell you, I'm really disappointed you let that team score a touchdown.
Yeah. Jeez.
Walk us through those 7 points that you gave up.
That's pretty
Was that not covered in practice?
That's pretty funny. Well, they came off a loss the week before. So, yeah, I got to get ready for that. It's just.
Do you drink beer anymore? You need a beer.
No, I don't.
You need a seltzer tonic.
I can't taste anything,
vodka
so
tonic.
It doesn't matter. This will pass. I will get through it.
A BTL mimosa. Isn't that the orange juice one that all the
champagne
sorority chicks drink at the brunches?
Isn't it champagne and orange juice?
I believe so. I'm not a mimosa expert.
Me neither.
You need a mimosa, though. Get some vitamins in there, loosen you up a little bit.
I'm okay, man. I'm all right.
I don't know. Where do you want me to go with this? I mean, like what?
I mean, people want to hear about it. The video coming out soon, hopefully.
Yeah, it depends on our computer situation.
Oh, okay. All right.
Do I have one here I can edit it on?
Do what now?
Do I have one here I can edit?
Not yet. Hopefully he's coming by to fix that one.
Today.
Hopefully. That's
okay. Then I'll have it out. If it's fixed today, I'll have it out tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm scared to look at the comments.
Sean's he is a mimosa fan.
All right. So I was trying to stay alive in the Open division, right? Going up to Thousand Islands after the Oneida debacle. And remember I said I had like a totally different attitude and all this stuff. And one of my things up north, and I believe I talked with Uncle Frank about this on Thursday when I was on from that lovely island, private island. All the islands up there are private, Mark. Like you can buy an island. I learned some stuff from my co-angler on the second day. Like you have to have I believe a tree on your rock for it to be considered an island. And you're also not allowed to have any fire on your island because at some point over the course of time, pretty much every island's burned down because they can't get any fire stuff out there. I figured they'd have a fire boat. I guess they don't. But anyway, you're on your island, you're partying, you burn the whole island down, right? And so I end up going up to the media event in Wisconsin, which was kind of a change up for me, right? Because I've attended a lot of these media events as media, go out in the boat, do the article, take the pictures, do all that. Well, now I've got the boat and I've got media guys in the boat with me that I have attended these same media events with as another member of the media.
Was that a little weird?
It was a little odd, but it worked out. It worked out really great. And I think there's some great content coming, hopefully. Because these are like big, like I got to go fishing with Louis Stout. That was so much fun. We got done with the session and Louis, who's one of the legendary riders at Bass, I don't think he realized there's a whole generation of us who learned what went on in the tournaments based on the post-tournament reports that Louis did. Along with Steve Price and along with a number of other Steve Wright now who doesn't, but growing up for me, it was Louis. And Louis, we did a little bit of work and then Louis was like, man, they had a deal there where, the media members couldn't fish with a elite series guys because it was, I think, on the schedule next year and it would have broken the rules, but they can go out and do media events. So Louis like, man, I bought this fishing license. I haven't fished at all. I said, well, it's fair game, bud. Let's go catch them. So we went out with Louis and we caught 3 or 4 on top water. He caught a couple on a fry. It was a really good time with Louis. So then I go to Thousand Islands and I've got 11, 12 days of practice. And did I talk to you after that first couple days?
I don't think so.
It was nuts. I dumped my boat in and it's like 21, 22 pounds for the first 3 days. There, you find them on graph, tons of graph. First of all, it's massive, bigger than anything you could ever imagine. I'm actually having a story that is coming out on bestontour.net, the newsletter that they do weekly. You can just sign up for that and it'll be like the top 5 or 6 things if you're planning a trip up north, specifically like that kind of Thousand Islands area that's part in the US, part in Canada. There's just a bunch of stuff that over the course of all that time you realize, this would be handy. You good?
My sound went away. Keep going.
Your sound completely went away.
Yeah, keep going.
But there's a bunch of stuff over the course of time that you realize this would be handy. This would not be handy. I need this, like certain types of bug spray. When it's rough, you want to make sure you're wearing shoes and not flip-flops or bare feet because of the support like that. I wear flip-flops all the time, but when you're out in big rollers, making sure that your mapping works in both countries, making sure that you have a sportsman's license if you're planning on putting fish in your live well, understanding that distance on your map is not the same as distance actually traveling, wind direction, predicted wind direction, and apps to determine where the wind's going so you don't get stuck out on Galoo Island when it's blowing 4 miles an hour and when you time to come in, it's blowing 15. Just stuff like that, right? I made all those mistakes, Mark, all of them in the 12 days. So it wasn't me like camping there for a month, dialing it in. It was me learning how to fizz fish, figuring out how to run the lake, getting stuck, breaking stuff. So I go down to we get down to like 4 or 5 days of practice left. And I've got some stuff in the lake. The little ones have showed back up. Everyone's out there practicing. And Sunday morning, my shift actuator goes out 4 days before the tournament. Common issue, easy fix. But it cost me all Sunday. David from Mercury, the dude is like a wizard. Super easy. Super amazing, like super. I texted him on Sunday on the holiday weekend. Said, hey man, blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, I'll be there tomorrow morning. No problem. Get the new shift actuator on Monday at like 11. Big storm rolls through. Wait till it rolls through. I said, I got to go check on my fish in the river that I found one day. I make it 7.5 miles down the river. Mind you, this brand new shift actuator, everything. And I sling an ear on the prop. Like, not just like part of the ear because it was
just destroyed.
Nicked. It was like a new prop. And if you followed me all year, you know that I have dink, dunk, drop, shotted, Ned rigged, and wacky wormed the entire season. So I haven't been like up in the stuff, you know?
Mhm.
I had a crisp new prop, which he had just seen because he had to take the lower unit off 2 hours earlier to do the shift actuate. Anyway, this prop goes flying up in the air. Like I'm running down the river. I'm like, oh, I'm back in action, right? Back in action. I make it 7.5 miles and it goes woo, 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 woo. I'm like, what is that? So I call him, the guy, and I'm like, something just happened to the lower unit. It just came apart. And then I trimmed my motor up. I'm like, never mind, slung an ear. But the way it did it, it was like not my fault. So then the ear shot up in the air and it hit my cavitation plate.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Broke that. So fortunately, Chris Fior was fishing a shoal, just happened to be fishing a shoal as I run by. And he sees this thing go 5 stories up in the air, has no idea what it is. So he takes me, tows me to a ramp because there's 2 mile an hour current in Alexandria Bay. I call Kevin Ledoux, who I knew was going to be fishing upriver. He was already on his way back. He picks me up. I leave my boat at the ramp because I can't get the hub out of my prop. Got the prop off. Kevin helped me everything, but I can't get the hub out to put it in the other prop, right?
Mhm.
So I'm like, I'll just screw it. I'll just go back to the truck and bring it back. So we go back. I hop in, drive about 15 miles to my truck, get out and realize that I took the boat keys instead of my truck keys. So my truck keys are now in the boat that is at the marina, the little bitty marina in Alexandria Bay. So Kevin's like, oh man. I said, yeah. I said, dude, when I screw things up, I really screw things up. So he said, well, we'll just unhook my boat, leave it in this park, unhook your trailer, drag your trailer, hook it up to my truck, go back and get your boat on the trailer. So we did that, went back, got my boat on the trailer, went back, unhooked it, hooked my truck back up, hooked Kevin's boat back up to his truck. Then I went back to the service yard and he threw a new prop on for me. Took 10 or 15 minutes to do that. And he said, hey, come back. We'll get the rest of it fixed later. Warranty deal. So I missed all of Monday and all of Tuesday. And then it blew 20 miles an hour Wednesday. So I didn't go out on Wednesday. So I go into this thing with like one spot that I'm not really sure what I'm dealing with in the river and like some real iffy stuff on the lake that had big ones on it, but now there's just little ones on it. And I've been here 12 days, Mark. Haven't fished.
That's not good.
Haven't fished the last 3. I mean, I talked to you. I didn't seem extremely confident, did I?
No. You did the first couple of days, but
yeah, I was like,
no.
Man, I don't know what I'm going to do here. You know, meanwhile, everyone else, 20, 25. I stopped looking at social media because everyone's like, this is magic, holding up 6-7 pounders. So the first day of the tournament, I draw an awesome co-angler. You ready for this, Mark? 37 years old. And I look him up first. Yeah, I always, you know how you do. You look up what's the area code of the co-angler. You look him up on social media and it's like doctor. I'm like, huh. So this guy turns out to be 37-year-old gynecologist from Long Island who practices in Queens, I believe.
Okay.
Super cool dude. You know where he bass fishes mainly? Think about it. Lives in an apartment, has a 2-year-old daughter. He's 6 years out of his residency in med school.
Central Park.
100%. Bass
that?
fishes Central Park. He said one time he was fishing in Central Park and there was a wedding going on in Central Park. And the groom came over and was like, hey man, can we take a picture of us pretending to fish with all of your stuff for our wedding photos? So he said, there he is standing around there while the bride and groom are fishing in Central Park.
I didn't even know there were fish in Central Park.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Bass. He says he's caught him up to 4 pounds.
Wow.
But we had a great day. I went down to the spot that I thought had I got a couple bites, but I'd been through it twice. It's a drift and the drifts are weird there. So it's 1.7 mile an hour current. Your boat's going straight back, your line's off at an angle, and it's basically live bait fishing with the drop shot. It's just dink, 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 and then it'll go boom, and then the fight's on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I do that all day. I make 50, 60 drifts on the same stuff. My third fish of the morning is a 5.9. I'm having great conversation with my co-angler. He catches a couple. He's pumped. I'm culling through an 18-pound limit, and by the end of the day, I come in with 21 pounds. Which I thought would put me about where it did, about 32nd place is where I was after the second day. So Day 2, going to go do the same thing. And Went back down there and it just kind of felt different. Like my first one was a little bitty baby and I had a couple 2-pounders. My co-angler catches a 5 behind me, fills out his limit. He's got about 10.5 pounds. And before I know it, it's 130. And I'm, for the first 4 or 5 hours, I'm like, it'll happen. It happens so many times. And I'm doing little different drift lines, staying in the same area. Got good guys around me. Like Chad Pipkins was around me, Garrett Paquette, not fishing the same stuff, but you see him run past in that area. I'm like, dude, live here if those 2 guys are down here. And all of a sudden I look down, it's 1:30. I'm 40 minutes from the launch ramp and I've got 3 bass in my live well for 8 pounds. That's not good on the St. Lawrence River, Mark.
Not good.
That's like having 0.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's like I'm finishing 150th. I'm finishing 150th in this thing.
Not good.
And I am sticking with that drop shot. My co's called like 7 or 8 times. And he's great. I mean, we're just drifting, right? I mean, getting along with him, everything's perfect. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die on this spot. I'm like, this is not good. I start freaking out. Not melting down. Is this
on film?
No, I never had a meltdown, but in my head, it's spinning. What am I going to do? Where do I go? I don't have anything in the river. And on the way down, anywhere else I'd caught him on the river, all had boats on it, right? And he spends a couple weeks up there. His uncle has a marina there and his dad, and they have a boat without a trolling motor. So they just drift. So he knows some spots, right? But doesn't like, he's never fished a tournament on the river before. He's like, well, I got some stuff up by the launch we can hit. And I was like, maybe I can hit some stuff on the back. So I get halfway across Alexandria Bay. I leave with 3 fish. He's got 3 for like 10 or 11. I've got 3 for 8. Rough ride, doom, 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 going across it. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I've seen this play out before. This is not good. So I stop on a little rock pile. I throw the trolling motor down. I don't even make a cast. I said, dude, what the hell am I doing? I just caught 21 pounds off this spot. You caught a 5-pounder off of the last spot. I said, I've seen this show play out before. I'm going to run around with a chicken with my head cut off. There's going to be guys drifting on my stretches. It's going to be more windy. And then I'm going to check in and say, why didn't I stick with it? I said, we're going right back. I rip the trolling motor up, strap everything down, turn around and run 10 miles right back to where I had just sucked for 6 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. So I get there at 2 and I said, dude, we're going to fish until 3, 3:50 check-in. I make my drift, nothing. He goes, I really appreciate, I'd left the graph on back there for him, the 2D. So he knew what he was looking at. He's like, I'm going to throw something else. So I'm on a different drift. So it doesn't affect. Cause if you're both going back, the co-angler's bait actually gets to the fish before the boater's bait, if you're doing it correctly.
Yep.
So he ties on a jig and he tosses it out the back and he's just dragging it. And I noticed there's this little strip of water that I hadn't drifted. Well, I don't know why I haven't drifted that. Like I've drifted all around it, but not down this strip. And we drift past it. And I'm like, dude, it comes up nice. It's like 40 foot. And all of a sudden I hear him go, oh my gosh. And he hasn't even set the hook yet. He reels down, sets the hook. It's a 5-pounder.
Wow.
So I hit the little heart icon because that's where I catch him on the drift. I have the stop sign where to start it, stop sign where to stop it, heart sign where you catch one. And he fights it in and gets it. And like I said, fish that I wasn't going to catch, he's way the heck back there. Now he's pumped. He's got almost 14 pounds in 3 fish.
Wow.
We've got half an hour left and I've got 3 for 8. This is where it's kind of cool. So I realized that he had caught one on a Ned rig and he caught that one dragging the jig on the bottom. And his drop shot fish, his leader was real short. I'm an idiot, Mark. I really am, because it never occurred to me. I'm throwing a 2.5, 3 foot leader because of with the current. I wanted above the water. Those suckers were glued to the bottom. And I didn't have any of those little jigs. And the heaviest Ned that I had was a 3/16, right?
Okay.
So he had said before that he sometimes catches them on a heavy Ned. And I said, what's the heaviest Ned that you got? And he goes, 3/8. I said, you mind if I borrow one of those? This is with half an hour left. I have not touched a Ned rig the whole tournament. He goes, yeah, no problem, dude. Because he's got 3 for 14. He's loving me right now. He's cashing a check. He's making money.
Yeah.
High-fiving. So he gives you this little 3/8 ounce. It's heavy little Ned. And I thread the Ned on there, power idle back up to where he caught it. And I flip it out in 40 foot of water. And I can't really, and there's one on it and it's a 3.5. So now I've got 4 for 11.5 pounds. I'm like, man, or 12 pounds. I'm like, man, I need another one bad. And time's ticking down.
How much time left?
I got about 25 minutes left. This was the key moment here that I don't think I would have done earlier in my quote unquote career. I I said, man, I said, there's a little nick in that 7-pound test that I just tied that net on because I wasn't planning it. I said, it's down there drifting. There's some mussels down there. I said, I don't have time, but I need to hit spot lock and put a 10-pound test leader on. And this is all on film that I've got. And I sit down, I cut it off. I put 10-pound test on. Shooter, 10-pound test shooter. Tie my little heavy Ned back on, pitch it out, drift about 10 feet. And I'm like, there's another one. I'm like, oh, I really need to land this one.
Mm-hmm.
But it won't come off the freaking bottom, Mark. And I'm like, is it a walleye? Is it a drum? I'm like,
it's a smallmouth.
I'm like, what else is in this river? I said, this is a big freaking fish. And he's like, it's not a catfish. He says, it's not a walleye. He goes, and there's not drum this far up the river, really. He goes, you got big old bass on. I said, no way. I said, they always shoot straight up, the big ones. This one stays down, and it just dogs me. Can't get it up. I was like, you might have to help me grab this one, whatever the heck it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it finally comes up. It's a freaking 6'6". A 6-pound, 6-ounce smallmouth, the biggest smallmouth of my life, with 20 minutes left on day 2 of the Open to fill out my limit and give me 18 pounds.
Wow. And you got 20 minutes left.
Yes. Now here's the dilemma that I'm currently in. I black out immediately.
Black out.
After I land it. I look like an idiot in my celebration. It's over the top.
Okay.
Everyone I've showed it to says, well, here, I'll play a little bit of the audio for you. I sent the clip and said, I don't think I can put this out on YouTube. I don't curse or anything like that. But I mean, it was like 3 months of frustration coming out like, oh my gosh, something went right. So I'll just play a little bit of the audio. This might be the only time that you're going to get to hear it, because I don't know whether to just let it roll, because it is pure adrenaline, right? That's how I responded. Usually I go like real high pitched. Oh my gosh. This one was like, whoa. 6'6" though. Keep in mind, to fill my limit out, save the season. 6 tournaments in. We'll see if it'll pick it up.
And you blacked out. I can't wait till that comes out.
Do I put that in?
Absolutely, man. People love
I know. Look at it in person. I can't do it. I spaz out, dude.
People love
I don't
that
love
stuff,
it.
man.
I acted like I've never been there before, which I haven't. Watch that. Let's just watch it.
That actually puts me in a better mood.
Can you tell that that's not rehearsed?
Oh, it's not. No, it's definitely not rehearsed. Yeah.
6'6".
It doesn't matter, man. I mean, that's what you're trying to do and what you're trying to get to.
I have to put it in there. This
Yes.
is the part. He lands it. Listen to what I do when he lands it. It's like a dying goat.
I'd say something, but people would rip me a new one.
No, say it.
No. Somebody. What did somebody say?
You can't waste your time to celebrate when you have
Clay said
6s.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I said, it wasn't like I was like, oh, now it's time to do what is that dude who did the umpty shuffle when he scored a touchdown? It's not like I had a choreographed dance that I was like, I'm going to do this.
Dude, that was pure emotion is all that was.
I mean, you could see the veins popping out on
That's all
my
it was.
poorly bearded neck.
No, you have to put that in there because it is not rehearsed. It is true emotion of everything that you've been through.
Okay.
And you yes, 100%.
Even you agree.
Oh yeah.
We're not going to have a whole show about
No.
over celebrating.
No.
Okay. I appreciate it. That makes me feel better because I've been trying to figure out how I can sanitize that.
Don't do a thing to it. The people, your fans, they need to see that.
After what happened at Oneida, after what happened at the James, after what happened with losing fish at, you know what I mean? It was just, and I was like, dude, it went right. But here's the key to this whole thing. And this is also going to be in the show. We might have my co-angler on from this.
Cool.
If people care. So when I spin back around, and that's what I was looking at on my computer when you came in, the guy's trying to figure out what he can throw that doesn't interfere with me. And he said, quote, I might just throw this Carolina rig here.
Oh, here we go.
And I said, whoa. This is all on camera. This is not just hearsay. I said, you have a Carolina rig tied on? And he goes, yeah, right here. And he holds it up. And I said, cut that off.
It's not bad luck.
I said, well, unless you're planning on throwing it right now, I got no problem if you're going to throw it. But if you're not planning on throwing it, I said, cut it off. Listen, this is all on. I don't have that part saved yet. I said, that's why I said, watch, we're going to catch giants now. I said, listen, the podcast I do, I said, I've got this thing with the Carolina rig. I said, I had no clue. I said, to me, that's like having a banana in the boat. If you want to tie one on and fish it, but you can't start with one because you're basically saying it's going to suck today.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to throw this Carolina. I said, cut it off. He was so cool. He goes, you really want me to cut it off? I said, absolutely. He said, it's done. It's gone.
So
he takes the scissors and he just chops it off right then.
Dude, you had the ultimate.
And I said, quote, watch, now we're going to catch biggins.
And how much time's left?
An hour. So 20 minutes passes. And instead of throwing that Carolina rig, he picks up the jig, catches a 5-pounder.
Yeah.
Then I catch a 3.5. I fished this same stretch for 6 hours with 3 for 8. Then I catch a 6.6. Then I turn the camera off and then on my last cast, I said, okay, we're going to leave it 250 because now I've got 18 pounds.
Yeah.
And that is going to save my season. And I don't know how rough it's going to be across Alexandria Bay. You have to go through the American Narrows, which is a 35-mile-an-hour speed zone. There's all sorts of ships and stuff out there. It takes you longer to get everywhere than you thought.
That's awesome.
So I look down. Oh, it's not over. So I look down and it's 2:54. And I said, we got to go. And it goes, dunk. It's a 486. Calls out a 244. Gives me 20 pounds, never make another cast on the St. Lawrence River, strap my stuff up, and I make it in. This is also a funny part. So I make it in at 4:10, and I had a 4:20 check-in, which is the same check-in time that I was 3 minutes late with at Oneida, right?
Okay.
So I toss my buoy in the bass bucket, and he picks it up. I said, boat 78, and he goes, you realize you're 10 minutes early, right? That's what the guy said. And I said, oh, absolutely. I realize I'm 10 minutes early.
Okay.
And I weighed those suckers in and finished 28.
Awesome.
I'm not saying I won the Bassmaster Classic or did anything. I was 6 pounds out of the cut and 1 billion pounds from winning. I didn't figure it out on the lake where 8 out of the 10 guys who won were. It wasn't anything magical. I had 2 solid bags, 21 pounds, 20 pounds, 4 ounces. There's a lot of guys. Andrew Upshaw caught a 613. I didn't even get big bass. But for me, it was a hell of a week.
So let me ask you this. Does that happen if the dude doesn't have those heavy jig heads?
No. 100% not.
What was so special about it?
The bait got down to the bottom. That was the thing. I had not fished and drug enough of that stuff to realize sometimes they want that drop shot up off the bottom.
Yeah.
And sometimes they want something on the bottom. And it took forever for it to click. I didn't have any of those little jigs. I didn't have any of those little net heads. Mm-hmm. And he had mentioned it earlier and said, you can have one if you want. And I just let it pass. It didn't even occur to me because I was like, no, I'm sticking with it. I'm not switching up. I'm doing the same thing over and over. But he does not catch 14 pounds if he doesn't draw me, or he might with someone else, or plenty of co-anglers who did, but it was a perfect co-angler boater relationship.
Okay. I mean, that's how you roll, man. And there are so many days that guys have throughout their career that is influenced by what the co-angler does. Agree or disagree?
Say that again.
I said there's so many, there are tournaments over time where you have a co-angler that the co-angler actually has an influence on what's taking place.
Both positive or negative.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, we were like, he finished 29th on the co-side. I finished 28th on the boater side.
Yeah.
And I cut my deficit for third in the overall in half. I only moved up to 11th, but I'm looking at how many points out. I think I'm 75 points out of third.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys who were ahead of me struggled. So I gained up 50, 60, 70 points on them. So I go into the final 3 with a legitimate shot at it. Now I don't know. I watched some stuff on Lake Norman and it seems like there is no pattern on Lake Norman. It's just cover water, and hope for something over 2 pounds. Have never been on Lake Norman, no help on Lake Norman, nothing. I mean, I've got a chip and 4.5 days to practice and I'm going to go do my thing.
So did the influence of everything that you did to get ready for the tournament really make this? I mean, there was a lot of crazy stuff that happened that following day, but what you did to get yourself ready, did that really influence? Because I've always said, we talk about luck. We've talked about luck on the show. Luck is earned, and it's kind of that sweat equity that you put into it. Was there something that you did in your prep? Was there somebody that you talked to?
100%. So
what was it?
There's an angler who's a professional angler who does well out there consistently. And I called him up and I was sitting in my computer. I bet I could pull up the notes right now and see. Look, here are the notes on my computer that I took while I was talking to him.
I believe you.
I said, dude, I said, I'm not looking for specific waypoints, right? I said, I just want to talk to you about why you always catch him out there. Sure, man, blah, blah, blah. And he talked to him and I asked him questions. And one of the things that he said is you really have to commit to the drift. And he said that the lake everyone thinks is super risky, which it is, making that long run to the lake and hoping they're there. He said, but what's risky is it's 2:00 in the afternoon. You've made the same drift. You're only getting a bite an hour anyway, because that's where those bigger ones live. And instead of bailing and going to the bank or throwing something shallow or running to something else, you stick with it and believe that they're going to bite. And that's what went through my head when I was going across Alexandria Bay and said, I got to stick with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would not have been on that stretch of river if I hadn't talked to someone before the cutoff either, but it was not on what that guy gave me. It was a half mile away, but I was in that general area.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I fished the 2 stretches he gave me. I didn't catch anything on them, like nothing. I didn't get a goby bite on them, but I was like, well, if they're there, they've got to be somewhere around here. And it's later in the year. So I slid out a little deeper and I did a 3-mile long drift and learned what it feels like on the bottom and what's down there. Cause I'm just trying to get used to all this stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a combination of my own adjustments, co-anglers, homework, asking the right questions, being in the right. It's like a combination of everything that came together for that. I'm not just saying that I figured any of this all out on myself. Not far from it. But I made
that's part of
those decisions.
I mean, that's part of it, because the sweat equity is what I call it, that you put into it based upon what you can do and what you can't do. You have to take full advantage of the situation that's out there that you can develop a competitive advantage. And that's what you did. And things happen for a reason, man. They do. And there's a reason that played out that last 20 minutes. There was a reason that you got hooked up with that co-angler. There's a reason that he was doing something a little bit different and had those jig heads. There's a reason that you decided to go back and do what you did to make that drift in that area. You give me a hard time sometimes about the whole luck thing and the luck thing. I don't think I've ever told you, and we might have talked about this a little bit, but I truly believe that luck is earned. And I've said that before on this show. There are things that you can do to create situations, and how those situations develop is not purely because of one single thing. It's everything that leads up to that. So that's a great job. And I know I'm pulling for you. I know a lot of people out there are pulling for you.
I know but
it is what it is, man.
190 guys who fish this tournament, who fish every tournament, who have these stories and stuff goes wrong. I'm not saying that I have special stories than anyone else. I just happen to be on a podcast with Mark where I tell my stories. So I'll stop telling
stories.
I'll stop telling the stories if they're long or monotonous or people don't enjoy them anymore.
No, people dig them, man.
As stuff goes on throughout the week, I'm like, does this stuff happen? Like, is this like a normal thing for everyone else? Like, I mean, how many times have I called and been like, wait till you hear this one?
Yeah, but it's what the end result is that matters, no matter what you're doing. And, you got to do the right things to put yourself in that position.
So I got to go do it at Norman. So then, I left Saturday. Drove to Norman, left my boat in Charlotte, flew home. I'm home for 4 days, and I fly back Friday. And what I did at Thousand Islands means nothing if I could not back it up on Lake Norman this week.
Next week. Yeah.
I got to keep catching them. So that's 100% going to be my focus. And I can tell I'm in a real good mental spot fishing. I'm not saying I'm going to catch them on Lake Norman. I mean, I might finish 180th. I might make the top 10.
That's
I thought that was the
I'm trying to
wrap up music. It is the wrap up music. We are.
No, it isn't. I'm waiting for the.
So I'm going to go down to Lake Norman and do my best and catch spotted bass. I mean, dude, I the smallmouth and spots, I like them, dude. I like them so much. I don't know why I do, but I love those things.
Yeah.
I have not caught a 4-pound largemouth in a tournament yet this year, but I've caught 4-pound spots and 4-pound smallmouth.
All right. Now we're going to do a fishing comparison to what I'm dealing with right now. You know, your meltdown that you had
at Oneida.
Yes.
Completely completely changed the way I look at the entire career.
All right. I've had a meltdown the last 72 hours.
I've noticed.
All right. And I promise people I will get through this. And I'll say this too. You know, I try to really be transparent as far as how I am on this show, but there's a lot of other stuff that's going outside that door of the studio that when you get to a stage, and Matt and I have talked about this, when you get to a stage in your life, there are certain things that you need to make sure get taken care of. And, you know, obviously 1 being your health, 2 being your family, and 3, making sure that you're in the position to where what remaining years that you have left, you're able to spend them doing things that you want to do based upon what you worked, 45 years of your life or whatever it is. This show means everything to me. It does. And, I probably sound a little whiny in the beginning, but I haven't had any sleep. I'm not making any excuses. It has been probably the most challenging 72 hours that I've had with this show in the 17 years that we've been doing it. I don't like failure. I have high expectations of myself, but what you people do not understand is some of the stuff that happens outside of this studio. It is a rarity, but sometimes that affects me, and I'm apologizing.
That's human nature.
All right. But there have been some things. And I'm trying.
You're good, dude. That's why we call it the BTL family. You good? It's the BTL family. See all these people here every single day that we're in this thing, man. So we're all in it together. And the fact that you're able to bring it a little bit fuzzy and off color today is much appreciated for me, who flew back for it, and for all of our listeners. So hang in there, man.
Sometimes it just gets a little tough, and you got to fight through it. And
you have more than 2 emotions? This is new to me.
Yeah.
Folks, that's a 3rd emotion from Mark Jeffries.
I'm trying. So
you're good. Hit the exit music. We'll see if it works. And when you hit the stop button, we'll see if this thing recorded. And if it did, it's a success, not a failure.
Wow. I lost it.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
You're the first person to get choked up. You didn't lose it. I thought you lost it more at the beginning of the show than at the end here. Human emotions. I have them too. You just heard me.
Yeah. It's been a really, really tough week. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get this stuff taken care of. And I'm not upset because of the computer stuff.
No, you got some other stuff going on in your life, bro.
Yeah.
I've seen Mark in the computer stuff. It is not. That's a completely different different type of frustration. So
I will try to get things taken care of with the computer stuff this week.
You need to go to sleep and go take a nap.
And then
you have to go to school today?
Yeah.
You have to?
Yeah.
You sure you can't just go take a nap?
No, I gotta go. I'll pull it together. I'm progressing to pulling it together here. All right. I might take the rest of the week off and start out on Monday. But if I offended anybody, I'm sorry.
What's your show? You can say what you want.
Well,
that's kind of the point of it.
Yeah. I try not to take it to that level, but yeah, things are going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
You're not crying about the car transmission, are you?
No.
Those things are expensive.
The what?
The transmission.
No.
I was just through
it's got
that.
Nothing to do with
I just went through the transmission thing and I shed a tear as well.
Yeah. No, it has nothing to do with that. Anyway. Wow. I'm sorry, people.
You don't got to apologize, Mark.
All right.
You could apologize for the technology rant at the beginning, but you don't got to apologize for emotion.
Yeah.
Any emotion that you show is progress.
All right. So what else, man? I'm sorry. Sean Goodwin, we were going to have Sean Goodwin in studio. I just don't think right now is a good time to do that. I think that we're going to get Sean booked again.
You're good. Just throw the exit music on. Mm-hmm. We've been on for an hour and a half. Yeah. Hour and 32 minutes, Mark. We're good.
Yeah. All right. So
it's good to be back. It's been a while since I've been back in studio. It's been a week and plus since we've had BTL. So, guys, you don't know what Mark did in order to make this happen with a lot of other stuff on his plate. So, big shout out, big support to the BTL family. The messages and stuff that I receive following Thousand Islands, you have no idea how much that means to me. Also puts a little bit of stress on you when you only have 3 for 8 with half an hour left and these people are checking the standings. But also just the support for everybody who gets on the show when we're having all the issues and getting through it. And yeah, we'll see at some point in the near future. We're not like taking a hiatus or a break or anything. It's just an issue where I fly back. Mark's got a lot of stuff on his plate. He's going to get the technology stuff dialed in. And then next Monday,
we'll plan on that. We'll have you on. You can tell everybody. You can tell us what's going on in practice. All right.
Hopefully nothing.
No, hopefully good things. So we'll go from there. But thank you, folks. And we'll keep you posted. Check out Matt's stuff. We'll communicate because I don't do the social media thing. We'll keep you posted through Matt's stuff on what's going on with BTL. All right.
See ya.
That's it. We're out of here.